Hello, everyone. Keith Casebolt back with you. Welcome into Simply Life, the guy who tries to make all of our lives simple and happier, my good friend Gary C. Johnson.
My friend, and today we're going to talk about important people.
Well, this should be an interesting conversation because I don't know, but I'm just guessing you might surprise people with who they are.
Well,
Really important people.
really, really important people is what I'm going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Not people that are in the news and those things, but the real important
The
people.
real important people.
You know, like the waitress that waited on me at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very important person. Extremely important
The most important person.
for me during that period of time.
For that 30 minutes at lunch, the absolute most important person.
My friends that get on that truck and come around that hill and pick my garbage up, extremely important people.
Mm-hmm.
Literally could not do without them. Period. The guy that keeps the electricity going. Those trucks that fix the wires, and when the electricity goes out, it gets it back on. Extremely important people. The folks that run these service stations.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely important people. There's all kinds of extremely important people out there. And my friends, some of you may be one of those. Are you? If you are, my thanks to you.
You know,
Because you are important. You're the reason the country exists.
based upon this conversation of important people, let me add to that. Over the weekend, a dear friend had a surprise 50th birthday. And when he walked in, he was just overwhelmed with emotion with the people in his life that had taken time out to show up to wish him a happy birthday. And as I watched, he walked around the room and he hugged everybody and he thanked them and he said, "Thank you so much for being in my life and thank you for taking time to come out and to wish me happy birthday." And I looked at that circle of people and I thought about what you teach on this program and on the television program. Those people that were there in that room, that was his life. That was the people that meant everything to him.
That's right. And they were extremely important people.
Yes, and then when we start thinking about our riches, that was the riches, wasn't it? The value that you have in life is the people that are around you.
Nita and I were walking yesterday and talking about different things, and she was just kidding. She said, "Now, if I did this, I'd be important." Some silly something or other. And I said, the tragedy of that is that if you believe you're important, then it really doesn't matter whether you are or not.
Yeah. I get where you're going with that.
Right?
And are you almost telling me maybe some people who really believe they're important may not be as important as the people that don't think they are?
That's exactly my point.
I get
And what
you.
I'm saying to my friends is believe you are important because you are. And you have every right to believe you are important.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole lot of people that believe they are important in positions of, quote, importance and power that probably aren't important.
Well, let's talk about that just a moment if we can. It's kind of odd that you're bringing this subject up. So there could be some people in high positions or even high political offices that believe they're important. But yet when I see you compliment a waitress or somebody that's working and doing the jobs that you just mentioned, 9 times out of 10, they will look back at you and say, "Oh, it's just my job." They don't even take the attitude that,
They don't realize how important they are.
yeah, they have no idea how important they are.
And what I'm saying to my friends is it's a state of mind. Understand you are important. Once you understand that, then you don't ever look up to someone else as being more important than you are. And you shouldn't do that because there is no one more important than you are. Not in this world.
Gary, is that why you often refer to growing up on 3 Mile and you talk about your childhood and the chores and the jobs you did? That do you put that in perspective, that that life today, that you know where you came from and you know where you are, but it didn't change the fact?
Let's put it this way. When I was growing up in basically abject poverty on 3 Mile, no one would have ever considered me important, right? Especially myself.
Yeah.
Now, all these years later, there are some people who would look at me and say, well, Gary, you're probably important to a certain extent, right?
You fly across the country, you teach seminars, you help people, you do all these things, yes.
But I'm exactly the same person that I was then.
So that little fellow that was walking the hollow up there was just as important then.
And that's the point I'm trying to make to my friends.
Yeah.
It's no difference.
Mm-hmm.
You are what you are and who you are. And your importance is knowing that you have a place in this world that's unique for you and that the world needs you and you're important. It's that simple, my friend.
You fill a
Put
void.
it in your mind, plant it there, and don't turn loose from it. Hang on to it no matter what anyone says or anyone tries to put you down. No one, anywhere, is more important than you are. They never will be, ever.
Mm-hmm.
You were chosen to be born just exactly like the good Lord meant for you to be. You are doing your part to make this society work. You may not have all of the recognition and the fame and all of that, but that is fleeting. That means nothing in the long run. But you are important. Don't turn loose of it. And every one of you that's out there doing something, that are working, that's doing things that we need in this society, you are a VIP in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be a VIP in yours.
Is that the whole reason that you rarely, and I do mean this, you rarely ever use the word I? I mean, here I said I already, but you can have a conversation with you about anything, and I don't hear the word I. You always say, what a team. What a team effort. You wouldn't believe the people I have that are around me that do this and do this and do this, and we accomplished, we. You're always saying that.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Because these people are important to you.
I learned years ago that there's no big I's and little U's.
Mm-hmm.
That we're all the same. And once you understand that, you won't use I very much, my friends. I promise you, you won't. You'll say we, us, my, they.
Yeah.
But you won't use I very much.
Yeah. You know, it almost gets you now when you hear somebody get up to do a speech or talk, or you're in a conversation and they're saying, I accomplished this and I did this. And you're sitting there wondering, what about all those people that helped you along the way and were there to help in the process?
I was going to an event for a politician this evening, and they called me and asked me if I wanted to speak. And my words were, no, I don't want to speak. Why would anyone want to waste everybody's time speaking at the event? I mean, it's an event. Let people talk to each other. Let them hang out. But why would they have to listen to somebody make a speech? And that was my recommendation. Don't have any speeches. Everybody there is equally important. Everybody's there because they want to be there. You don't need to convince them of anything.
Good point.
So why make a bunch of speeches and bore people to death?
So
That's
you
just my
may
attitude.
You may do a whole lot better off just allowing people to talk with each other.
Yeah, and enjoy each other and hang out instead of having to sit there and listen to somebody on and on and on about a bunch of nothing. And when the speeches start, if they start, I'm leaving.
Are you going to get a to-go a snack or something like that, or a take-home?
Now that, now folks, I hope you don't think that's a bad attitude on my part, but I really feel that way, that I don't like to hear a bunch of speeches.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't.
You'd rather see individuals interact with each other.
And if people are at some political event, they already have their mind made up or they wouldn't be there. Now, what are you going to say at that political event that's going to make them want to be for you?
Any more than they are.
Right.
Yeah. More than likely, if people brought you a check, they're probably going to vote for you.
I think there's a high probability that they're not going to waste their money and not go vote.
That's right.
But
a great point.
That's just a point I'm. But for some reason, people want to give speeches, and maybe it's because that feeling of importance that they get from. But they haven't learned that everybody else is as important as they are.
Each individual
is equally important. And my friends, please understand that in your heart of hearts where it matters. Understand that.
You know,
it will make you so much happier and more content to understand you are relevant to this world and you are needed.
You know, the thing that gets me is you mentioned one time, not only are you important, but each individual has a talent. Now, I have noticed that since you've brought that up, it is absolutely amazing that when you dig a little deeper and you start talking to individuals, you can find out they can draw, they can paint, they can play a musical instrument, they can speak another language. I mean, they can sew, they can build.
Could you imagine that if they took a gun and put my head in your head and put us with the materials and said, make a quilt, what would happen?
What would happen?
We'd end up dead.
You and I would
There'd be no quilt.
You and I'd be stitched together.
That's right.
It's even worse than that. I got home and the wife pulled out the toolbox and said, I got a little problem over here with the stove door. You need to fix it. I said, is that a joke? I mean, I have no clue what to do with it. That's not my area.
But it's interesting how, and I'm convinced that the good Lord made us so different for that very reason, so that we would need each other. He gave one this talent, one that talent, another one that talent, so that we would all need to band together to form a society. And that's why everyone is so important.
It's amazing. Gary, it really is. You talk about the experiences of the jury system and the magic number of 12.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a magic number. When you put 12 people together, the skill set, the talent, the mentality, everything that comes up, it is amazing.
I sat there in a trial one time and I was counting in my head we know the ages of the people on the jury. And I was looking at it. When I got up to 500 years of life experiences in that box, I said, wow, there's no wonder they come out with the right decision.
Pretty simple, isn't it?
One's had this experience, one's had that experience, and all of those life experiences come together during that one phase. They can share that with each other, and they figure out what's going on. It is amazing.
And then on top of that, they draw from the wisdom of the family unit and the friends that's been around them. So those 12 people may be affected by 500 or 700 people that have influenced them.
It is amazing how well the system works. And it's because of that. And you talk about important people. Juries, the people on the jury, form the basis of our society as far as having law and order.
Yeah.
They are the key to it.
Well, and you started out this program by talking about the individuals that perform a service. These individuals have to be away from home or away from their job and work. And what did you tell me? The pay per day was like $8 or 10 or 12.
It was $12.50 last I looked at it, but that was back a few years ago. It may have gone up a little bit. I sure hope it has.
So $12.50, you're going to be hard pressed to buy lunch, let alone your gas to get there. And now you're going to have to be there maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks of your life and your time that you're giving to the system to do the right thing so that it works.
They are the authorities that people report to when they've been injured or hurt or someone's done them wrong. The only place that they can make a report and ask someone to do something about it is to a jury in this country.
You know, it just dawned on me. No wonder there's an attack on the jury system. You just said the key phrase. With that much experience, they always do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's an attack.
That's right. Because it's not in the best interest of a large corporation for the right thing to be done, especially if they've committed fraud and done all kinds of bad things that's harmed people.
Because they can't control or influence these 12 people that have all of this experience behind them.
Right. And it works. The system works because of that. But it took me a long time practicing law to realize that when someone hires me, they're hiring me to make a report to the authorities.
The true authorities.
The true authorities, which is a jury.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it is.
So basically, you're just going to 12 neighbors, men and women from the community, and saying, here's what happened. Here's what happened to your neighbor.
I'm making a report to you.
I'm making a report. Here's what happened. Now you tell me.
And I'm asking you to do something about it, but it's up to you. That's it. It's that simple.
But Gary, in some of our shows on radio and television, you've pointed out how complicated it can be and what the defense does and everything. But you just summed it up in 2 lines, how simple it was, but it doesn't turn out to be that simple, does it?
It is amazing how they can sort through it, though, and see that all the things that's been tried to pull over their eyes. It's amazing. They see it.
You know, I really love some of these shows, the 48 Hours and the crime shows, when they will interview the jurors. Mm-hmm. And some of these are criminal. That's not what you do. You're accident injury. But they'll interview some of the jurors, and they'll say, here's what got me. I saw through this real easy. Mm-hmm. I knew this wasn't the truth. This information just did not add up. But it's amazing that all 12 of them will find something or pick up on something that makes them determine what the outcome is.
And then they put all that together and discuss it and come up with an answer. And they're being very important people.
So, I guess our mission this week is, as we go to work, as we go to school, go to church, go out in the neighborhood, we've got to look around and say, that individual is important. And what would my life be without them?
And if you're at a restaurant and you're being waited on, thank the person that's serving you for being there working. It is a thankless job.
It
doesn't pay very well. But if they weren't doing it, you would not be able to go in that restaurant and sit there on your rear end and get service. So thank them.
It is a hard job.
It's a hard job. And let them know you appreciate them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Give them a kind word, and if you can, give them a tip.
That's right. If you can afford it, give them a tip.
If you've got the money, please do it, because there's nobody that's going to need it more or earns it more.
And it's amazing how far that little bit of money you may let one have would go in their lives and how it may change their life for the better. It's that simple.
You're absolutely
right.
We're
all on this big rock together, folks. You're all equally important. You're unique. You each have a talent. Use it and be happy. Be happy and rejoice in the fact you know you are important.
So we basically got two missions. One is to enjoy this life as long as we've got it. Number two is to leave it a little bit better than we found it.
And if you remember the rule, if
Mm-hmm.
you touch someone's life, leave them better because of it, not worse.
You know, that was a quote you did how many years ago? 3 or 4?
Oh, it's longer than that. It's probably 10 or 15 times flies.
And I had this gentleman come up to me. I was at one of the local double quicks, and he walked up to me in the parking lot, and he said, because of Gary Johnson, I do this with everybody I meet. I give them a nickel. And he said, with this nickel, I know I left you better than I found you.
That's right.
And I said, I'll keep the nickel, and I'll let Gary Johnson know that you said that.
And I'll say that again, folks. If you touch another human being's life, leave them better because of it, not worse. Please.
You know, and if you do that, you might just get a couple of calls to come back or to eat lunch or to...
You're doing it for yourself because you'll feel so much better if you do.
Yeah, so if
you won't have regrets. You won't have guilt.
You'll have more friends.
You'll have a lot more. That's right.
That's the key thing. I mean, you'll have somebody around you to laugh when you tell a joke. And that's pretty important.
Especially your jokes.
Nobody laughs. Gary, great lesson. I mean, it really is. People are important. Unfortunately, the people who are the most important don't realize it.
And thank you, my important friends, for listening to Keith and I.
The fact that you would take out 25 or 30 minutes of your life and listen to this program, that's pretty special, isn't it?
Maybe we're important.
I'm
just kidding.
No. Gary's right. Thank you so much. All right, we got a mission this week. We're going to look around and we're going to thank someone and tell them that they are important and just exactly how important they are to us. And especially if you walk into a restaurant, whoever your waiter or your waitress is, you give them a big thank you after they're done. And if you can't afford to give a tip, please do it because Gary's right. Very deserving. You can catch Gary's television show on Tuesday nights, WYMT, your CBS affiliate, and also a late-night replay in Central Kentucky on WKYT, your CBS affiliate there. If you have questions for Gary, after all, he does practice law and he handles accident and injury cases. If you need him, you can go to Gary at GaryCJohnson.com. Or if you've got your cell phone, you can make it real simple by just hitting #HURT. And we like simple these days and times, don't we?
That's the key to it.
The more simple, the better. So #HURT if you need to get in touch with Gary. My friend, thank you for being here so much today. I enjoyed the conversation. On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. Again, thank you so much for taking time to listen to us. And as always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.